Toogie and Bobo in custody. The Marathon MP seems to get his wish.
I want them back home. I'm concerned for their safety. I want them back home without one scratch. Not one.
The full breakdown on ZNS News. Also,
stop fires! Stop fires now!
Residents say enough is enough with the dump fire. They live through the smoke every single day.
There's this stench that goes throughout your home. It's stuck in all your clothes. When you wake up in the morning, you feel it in your throat.
And then,
after nearly 8 years, hundreds of Cleico policyholders are finally collecting their funds today. I'll explain coming up in the Bahamas Tonight.
Also, top-level officials on their way to the Bahamas for the IDB conference. Security is stepping up ahead of it. The Bahamas Tonight, the national report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good Thursday evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings.
And I'm Charisma Robinson.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Major new developments in that murder-to-hire plot that's become the topic of discussion by both major political parties. The two men at the center of the Nygarn-Bacon dispute have been arrested.
And Clint Watson tonight speaks with the Commissioner of Police on the latest move, as well as recaps a story on how we came to know about the two men.
The two men at the center of what has become a mushrooming saga between rich lifer key expats Peter Nygaard and Louis Bacon, and the major characters in what has become known as an alleged murder-to-hire plot, have been arrested. The men, Livingston Toogie Bullard and Whistler Bobo de Vilmer, who were initially said to have been in the Dominican Republic, were taken into custody locally. Commissioner of Police Alison Greenslade confirmed the arrest.
And I can confirm that yesterday, during the wee hours of the morning, we took into custody both of the men who are known locally by street aliases, Bobo and Toby. The public, based upon reports you've been giving, are well aware of those aliases and who they are attached to. Those men are in custody and are assisting us with the investigation.
The Commissioner did not want to say at this time whether charges will be filed at this time.
In fairness to everyone, not prepared to play out the investigation in the press, except that we've been forthrightly telling the press that we've launched an investigation. We intend to continue to pursue it professionally and started trying to make very good progress, and at the appropriate time I'll come back to the press and I'll give a general statement.
Initially, it was said that both men were in the Dominican Republic. Education, Science and Technology Minister, the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald, on the 17th of March 2006, while addressing the issue in Parliament, referred to the men calling for their return.
Young men known to be criminals, one Bobo and Toogie, from Bain Town. From Bain Town, Mr. Speaker. Get millions of dollars from this particular set of individuals, Mr. Speaker. They ain't in the country today. They're not in the country today. No, they're not in Turks and Caicos. Mr. Speaker, they are flown out right now, as we speak. They're in the Dominican Republic, right now. They're in the Dominican Republic. They're in the Dominican Republic. They were flown out of this country, Mr. Speaker, and they're in the Dominican Republic. As a Bahamian, Mr. Speaker, I want Toogie and Bobo to come back home. I'm concerned for their safety, Mr. Speaker. Yep. I want them back home. And I know the persons who are involved in this listening to me, Mr. Speaker. I want them back home without one scratch. Not one.
Now, it is not known at this time if the men were indeed out of the country or actually living here, but according to recent court documents, the men reportedly had several contracts with the government. Commissioner Greenslade also confirmed as much.
Absolutely in the country. Arrests were made without incident. They cooperated with us fully, and of course, were found in proper places. We did not have to seek them out in any strange look.
Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Well, it appears the Save the Bay's environmental group will be calling for an investigation into those emails released in Parliament, and we're told that the information gathered will be forwarded to the Data Protection Commissioner. In an earlier release from the Data Protection Commissioner, Sharmi Farrington Austin, she said that no direct complaint was made to her office at that time, and no one provided evidence to assist with an investigation into the emails. Well, Save the Bay's members feel their right to private communication and financial information has been breached. They also say the Constitution supersedes any clause in the Data Protection Act that allows privilege in Parliament that, according to them, abuses people's rights to privacy and confidentiality. Well, Bahamian recording artist Kirkland Bodie, better known as KB, whose name was associated in those emails, is hitting back tonight. In a statement, Mr. Bodie says he has always made an honest living, citing that he's never had a government job, never compromised his ethics for anyone, and will never cloak wrongdoing. Bodie says he has always been forthright, and if anyone can prove him otherwise, they should put him before the courts. Mr. Bodie says he is proud to be a director with Save the Bays, heading their music division, and he claims he was not paid by any political party to write songs, and it had nothing to do with Save the Bays. Well, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts also weighing in on this email issue. He says this, quote, fake furor over the email revelation is a demonstration of hypocrisy and duplicity in its worst form, as these actions strike at the credibility of the usual suspects. Mr. Roberts says the usual suspects, up to now, have publicly and loudly lamented the absence of and the need for a Freedom of Information Act because of the public's right to know. Chairman Roberts says these very same people who purport to be the jealous and zealous guardians of the public's right to know have now taken to weeping, wailing, teeth gnashing, and complaining in the press, social media, and scampering off to court and the Data Protection Commission in a bid to prevent the public's right to know. Mr. Roberts submits that the public has a right to know the connection between the Save the Bays organization and the Free National Movement, especially when members of the organization have mentioned members of the government at the highest level. Roberts claims the email revelation in Parliament exposed the intrinsic and incestuous link between Save the Bays, the FNM, and their operatives. Mr. Roberts went on to say that as a former member of Parliament, tons of information came into his political garbage bin with great regularity. He says this is also true for FNM parliamentarians and members of the media. He suggests those affected to get over it because, in his view, their fake righteous indignation is fooling absolutely nobody. On to another story we're working on for you tonight. Payday for Cleico policyholders, as after years of being in limbo, they finally received monies in a payment plan. The Prime Minister shared the good news during the recent mid-year budget communication in the House of Assembly, and today, scores gathered at the Holy Cross Anglican Church for the interim payment. LaDon Davis talked to a number of them.
I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to collect my check today.
Paula Green had a life and medical policy at Cleico Bahamas Limited for many years and is certain that she will in fact receive an undisclosed amount of money from the company. Green joined hundreds of other policyholders on an organized line outside of the Holy Cross Anglican Church shortly after 6 o'clock Thursday morning. She says 8 long years are quite long enough.
I got a number, so I'm one step closer, and my name is on the list. So waiting for the number to be called, and hopefully I'll get my check in hand before I leave here today.
Managing Director of Cleico, Vaughn Culmer, says while there are hundreds of persons who will be receiving checks today, there are others who won't be so lucky.
There are people like active policyholders who came to see if there was anything for them, but I explained that as active policyholders, they're doing the right thing to continue to pay. They will transition with the portfolio to the special purpose vehicle that the Prime Minister spoke about, and then eventually to the new buyer. This payout is for balances owed on death claims, medical claims, those who surrendered when we went into liquidation, pensions, annuities, and endowments that may have become due since that time. Those are the policyholders that we're paying today.
Another policyholder who wished to remain anonymous was quite upset that her check was not ready to take home. The Cleico executive spoke to the issue.
Some of the checks are not ready as yet, but they have a time slot to come back. You can imagine 4,800 checks. It's quite a task. So checks are being printed now as we speak.
Cleico will end its payouts here in the capital next week Tuesday, and on Wednesday, representatives will head to the nation's second city to continue the payout plan. More than $16 million will be distributed to at least 4,000 policyholders. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News. Thanks so much, LaDawn. More Bahamians join the unemployment line, this time from Grand Bahama. Janelle Ferguson talked to the labor director about the layoffs.
9 employees were laid off this past Tuesday, effective immediately from the Deepwater Key Bone Fishing Lodge in East Grand Bahama. Director of Labor Robert Farquharson telling ZNS News Thursday afternoon that although the resort's owners took over the property 7 years ago would have increased employment, today's slow growth economy presented challenges.
From then to now, they grew the amount of staff from 40 to 69 employees. On Tuesday past, as a result of the downturn in the economy and obviously the reduction in the whole idea of bone fishing, the company made 9 employees redundant. That's 9 employees from 3 different departments. The maintenance and landscaping department, the food and beverage department, and the security department.
The labor director said those released were paid what was owed, and local labor officials were informed that no further layoffs are imminent. Meanwhile, East Grand Bahama MP Peter Turnquest, in a statement, suggested that as much as 16 employees were released. He expressed his disappointment and regret, as many of them were reportedly his constituents. In the statement, Turnquest questioned if the Minister for Grand Bahama and the Prime Minister both seemingly misled Grand Bahama residents and the nation about the expansion at Deepwater Key and additional jobs to come as a result. These claims, Turnquest said, were empty ones, and the promises remind us of the false optimism and, quote, good news as expressed about Bahamar. Farquharson, however, said the resort does intend to continue with its expansion.
The company still has plans to expand, and upon expansion, they anticipate also to increase the headcount thereafter. The company is in the middle of expanding now, and they anticipate that once the expansion plan comes on, they will also have the need to increase additional staff.
The labor director expressed concern with management of the resort, who did not inform labor officials of the move.
The company advises that they were advised by their attorneys, that they were not advised by their attorneys that they should consult with the Minister of Labor. And subsequently, I would have spoken to them about it, and they acknowledged that they did not follow the practice as outlined in the Code of Industrial Practice.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Well, thanks so much, Janaea. Deepwater Key executives releasing a statement this afternoon saying it's right-sizing its staff. They say while they remain in the process of development, issues raised by the BFFIA and approvals have affected timing. As a result, they are ensuring that associate levels are properly matched to current guest levels. Management says it has worked with each of the department managers to bring team numbers into an appropriate balance, returning to the historical staffing model requiring a reduction of 9 employees. Management says those that have been laid off have served Deepwater Key very well. They have given them their severance and they thank them for their service.